Folks, we are live. Welcome to Talking Crit, very special Talking Crit. I am Eric Tenkar. You probably know that crap. With me, as usual, underneath me is Bad Mike Battleato, my once-a-week work spouse. With the weight of the show on his shoulders is none other than Jim Kitchen. And then our special guests tonight are Jeff Jones of RPG Ramblings and Will Tramp. I do like it. This effing GM. That is a nice moniker to have. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. So,
Well, we have not had, Jeff, I checked my schedule thing, and we have not had Jeff on since January.
what?
Oh, I know. And that's ridiculous because he's got a Kickstarter a month pretty much, right, Jeff? I mean, that's how it rolls.
10 this year. All goes well.
Wow. So this is a man that knows his Kickstarters and his stuff. I'm a very happy backer of his stuff. So I can't remain neutral in this. I love the stuff. Gary's Appendix is a fanzine he puts out, high quality. That's the whole thing. Everything he does is high quality, slick, well put together, great artwork, great writing. Gary's Appendix is a compendium of rules, monsters, adventures, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just like the ultimate fanzine. It's great stuff. But he also does projects. He does Shadow Dark projects. This is the last thing I believe by him of back, Dark Visions. And like as you can see, high quality stuff. Lots of tables, lots of just ways to roll and furnish rooms, make monsters, do all kinds of stuff. And then I believe I got this when I got Dark Visions, which is Tower 6, which is a great little adventure. Very deadly, very cool. But Jeff just puts out quality stuff, and he has for a while. And I try to back as much as possible. But this year I kind of got lost in the weeds, and now I find I have to catch up like on 17 projects that I missed while I wasn't paying attention. And so a while back I looked and I go, oh, he's got another Kickstarter going. And so I said, well, we need to have him on because we have not had him on in a long, long time. And we're used to having Jeff on every few months or so. So welcome. And we're sorry we let you sit in the closet for so long without letting you out.
Well, to be fair, I am probably the worst at marketing. So there's a lot to be said for me not pushing myself and my wares like I should. So.
Well, you should because it's high quality stuff. Like I said, I try to back as much as possible. I've just dropped the ball a little bit. But the great thing about Jeff's Kickstarters is when you order the Kickstarter, you can catch up on all the back publications. So, and that's what I did. The first couple I ordered, I said, "Oh, look, he's got all this other great stuff out there too." So I went ahead and bought all his back stuff, and now it looks like I'm going to have to do that again. Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here with Jeff?
Jeff found me on the side of the road and asked if I'd like to come on a video. So Jeff's newest project, or newest offering, as I like to call them, is Dark Deviltry, and I am one of the writers on that particular publication. Actually, Jeff and I have been working a lot together over the past, I would say, probably about a year. I think we've been working together.
Yes.
And so this is in this particular project, Jeff decided that I might have a couple of things to say about it. So he asked if I'd like to come on, and here I am. Right. So
Very nice.
Well, Jim,
so Will's also written for some Gary's Appendix articles and also some other stuff that will be coming out too.
Well, Jim has the question, and Jim will ask you the question, and once he asks you the question, we will move on to talk about. See, I kept calling it Dark Deviltry. It's not. It's Dark Devilry.
Yes.
There's no tree. It's re.
Well, but you know what? I will if people want to call it whatever they want to buy, call it as long as they buy it. So
I was going to say the book actually answers to both. It turns out. So
yeah, exactly. You used a devil tree to make.
As long as Tom Hanks doesn't star in the movie based on the book, I'm good, right? Got to draw some limits.
Okay, so we actually could only get Colin Hanks, his son. We are not quite at the Tom Hanks.
That might be worse. That actually might be demonstrably worse. So okay. So the question I always ask is, what is your elevator pitch for the Kickstarter? What's your elevator pitch for the project? What is it that's going to just like get me to just buy instantly.
Well, so we'll lead in with Dark Visions, which was really was about cults, right? So everybody loves a good cult, and all these things that kind of dialed into cultists and themes and spells and such. So this is the other side of that same coin, right? A flip side of that coin, and that is these are the things that the cults will be following. These are the ones that the cults will be worshiping, and even could be it could be the devils and demons that and other creatures that even the PCs become pledged to, right? It's not, and so we have 18 different demon lords, devils, and demons to fill it up. So they're all statted out. So if you want to add Orcus to your Shadow Dark and all the things, we've got that. But it's not just what happens, not just the actual creature themselves, as much as it is their domains and also their followers. And if you travel to their domain, what types of things you find, what you encounter. So it really allows you to play the Paladin hell, so to speak.
And so, you've got your proverbial barbecue with all the PCs, and there's a knock at the door, and now you've got the cultists saying, "Hey, have you heard about Orcus? I've got some wizards."
Yes.
So how do you build on top of that? So what are the building blocks to that?
Well, I guess I'll let Will talk, as Will also spent a partial. He was one of the few people that also spent time developing the book. So why don't you go ahead and answer this, Will?
Yeah. So the building. Well, actually, and please forgive me, Jim. Your question is about the building blocks.
So how do you go from
project? Tell me how this works with the players, right? So if the players are going to become cult curious, how do they then what are the things you're giving? What are the things you're giving the game master, the DM, or somebody to say? Okay, they took the literature. Zing, now, what do we do to pull them in? How do we make this different? How do we make this interesting?
Absolutely. So we've got a couple of different ways to do so. If the cultists came a knocking before the player characters had actually created their delvers, we've got brand new ancestries and 3 brand new classes that we put together to give it more of a hellish or inferno, we like to call it, theme. We also have brand new magic spells to bring in and different ways that magic can work. We brought in rules for also possession and how to, and I guess it's more of a DM tool, but if you want to mess around with the players a little bit, we have some tools for possession and such. We've also got kind of got it set up to where you can, when you pledge yourself to a demon or a devil or an fiend, there's this sort of like separate overlay that goes over the character where you get a couple of extra abilities, but also some curses that go along with it, right? So even if you're already mid-campaign and you're playing a fighter or you're playing a priest or you got a thief, you still have some ways to jump in, even though we're well past the first level point. And you'll get access to special items, but these items tend to have curses or tend to have a mind of its own, or and in a lot of the cases, some of these new spells require like certain sacrifices to be made before you can pull off the magical effect. Now that's what the players are getting. They're getting access to that. But on the other side of things, for the DM, we've got tools like, as Jeff mentioned, we've got these 18 new mega demons, mega devils, things like that, the big boss battle threats and all these domains to play around. And plus I think I counted it, I know I personally had made over 40 random tables for the 6 domains that I had, but we also have a lot of new monsters. We have a lot of new items to sprinkle out to the players, and I know that I mentioned some of them are cursed and whatnot, but some of them are designed to also help take the fight to the demons, so you can try to take them down as best as you can. And then the second companion book comes with 3 or 4 adventures that you can immerse the characters in, so that way they're getting the real feel of the inferno or hell or the abyss, whatever you'd like to call it. We're just going to call it the inferno, right? But we've got tools to link those adventures together to where you can have a whole kind of campaign, if you would like, within those dark realms, but also you can just kind of sprinkle them in as you need them.
And so what's the thing you're the proudest of in everything that you've written for this, Will? What's the thing you're the proudest of? And take a breath, because I'm worried about you. Like literally you didn't take a breath for 2 minutes, and I'm afraid you're going to pass out. So just take a breath. Maybe we ask Jeff, and that way you can read a little. I'm worried. I'm genuinely worried, Will.
That is, I get that a lot, actually. I have 3 children at home, so I'm always swigging coffee at all times to try to keep up with them. I get off work and then I'm straight to kids. So I'm like, ugh, constant energy, right? But I swear I'm high on life and caffeine, and that's it. My favorite thing, it's such a silly, small thing, right? One of the things that Daniel and Zach and I were talking about when we were writing the kind of the core book for this is we wanted to make sure that demons, devils, and fiends felt terrifying, right? We want people to feel uncomfortable when these things hit the table, because it should be different than just fighting an orc or an owlbear or something. So I created this creature called I think it's called the puka is what but I'm getting the name probably wrong. Imagine like a little Cupid baby, right? With the little wings and such, but it's kind of it's pallid skin. It's definitely the soul of definitely a twisted soul, and it has this ability called suckle. And what that means is that I see your eyes getting wide there.
Now remember, this is a PG-13 show.
We dabble.
Yeah, up there.
We dabble. We dabble.
So, well, I won't go too far into it, but we did our best to make sure the abilities these creatures have feel uncomfortable and make people kind of go, ugh. And that was kind of the goal. We want hell to feel like a place you don't want to be, right? And I'm pretty proud of some of the things we've tossed in there to really hammer that home.
I always like these kind of supplements.
You're in.
No, so I always like these kind of supplements that because I like to use these. These are good bad guy supplements, and I love new bad guys and making bad guys with powers that my players don't know, or they haven't heard of these spells. So anything with bad guys in it, cults, deviltry, evil, I love that stuff because that's like that's an instant use for me. That's an instant use because I'm always looking for bad guys that are a little bit different or beyond the whoa, what did you just do here, Eric?
There's a new layout apparently with
I like it.
Yeah,
I can see. Yeah, look, there's my nostril hairs. This is great.
Oh my god.
Now if I gotta point to Jeff, I gotta do this.
Pretty much
straight up.
Wow. You gotta love it. So no, that's I love stuff like that where you can where your players aren't expecting it, and so this is written for Shadow Dark, correct? And you guys are doing Jeff, do you do any OSC still? Is it all Shadow Dark, or how do you proportion it out?
That's a good question. So I still do OSC. Because I do so many Kickstarters, trying not to clump things together. So I try not to do OSC, then Shadow Dark. So so we're still doing the Gary's Appendix. That's not changing. I do the Denizens of the Blood Sands. Is going to actually be a setting with, and we're also going to have character classes. That's all going to be written for OSC. So that's going to be coming out next year. And there'll be some other adventure conversions coming out for OSC. Will's did some writing for the upcoming setting.
You saw?
Yes.
Did you see the announcement that OSC is not going to be supporting their BX version? Is that going to affect anything, or do you not care? Or?
No, I don't care.
That's all I like to hear. I don't care.
You're doing classes anyway. Your own classes.
You're
already going beyond the BX.
Well, really, it goes back to, because I've seen their. I don't know if you guys have backed the Dolom Wood.
I'm waiting on it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting.
Unbelievable.
My delivery.
Unbelievable. They should be putting their eggs in that basket. And so they've made some changes. They've created a system that is OSE compatible, but also it refines it, I think, in a way that suits what they're wanting to do. So I think it's perfectly legitimate. But honestly, OSE is kind of the lingua franca of systems, really. Well, I mean, it's not lingua franca, but it's easy to adapt into any other setting. So, and people are still be playing it. So,
right. Well, I mean, it's a financial decision. They pretty much put that. They're like, we've got 5 different, we got 2 box sets, we've got all these books, and they got to streamline it. I don't blame them for doing it. I just have a little, place in my heart for BX, and I'm kind of sad to see that go.
Yeah, I think, because I think they're consolidating into 2 books is what they're going to do. So they're
Right.
going to be, which just makes a lot, because it's the way they do it now is very, very confusing to know what you really need. But I think we consolidate 2 books. Honestly, that's really all anybody really needs as far as with
Well,
all
two,
those
yeah,
classes. And everything.
Yeah, 2 books are going to be what the players facing side and the GMs facing side.
Yeah, and they're going to have all the stuff, the advanced and the basics. So yeah,
Right.
I think it's a good decision, and I think what they had produced was absolutely good for the hobby. And I think Gavin is a spectacular person, and he's been very open and supportive to creatives. And I mean, obviously, he didn't create the system, so but yet again, there are others who are in positions of authority who have that are more litigious in their way and their approach to people playing in their
I
sandbox.
can't imagine that. I'm stunned. Literally, I am stunned to hear this.
Yeah.
There's
Paul-
gambling at Rick's. I can't believe this.
Yeah.
This goes out to Paul. Okay, just telling you. No, I'm sure I'll get it before the end of November.
They're going to win the Ennies. They're going to take every single Ennie with this box set or the set.
That's a bold prediction. I like that. Right?
Oh my goodness!
They'll
take every single
heard
one.
good things about Dolanwood. I mean, honestly,
It's great. It's just super late. I mean, and look, there's a lot of. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, I'm not going to bang on Gavin for if you have to be late to be good, you want it to be good rather than just throw something out there. But it's really, really late. It's very, very, very late. So.
It's worth it. I don't know. For the life of me, I do not know. You look at the artwork, the amount of money he had to have spent. It's got to be astronomical. It's shocking how good it is. The look out. My daughter's doing graphic design. I handed it to her, and she just was oohing, and she's not a role player. So,
all right. Well, talking about art, I'm going to bring up the Kickstarter page right now because you got some spectacular pieces of artwork that you're showing on a Kickstarter. So let me get this pulled up.
Wow.
That's just the cover stuff. Once we get into some of the details, by the way, let me scroll down a little bit. I mean, this is just pure atmosphere.
yeah.
I'm looking at that, and the adventure almost writes itself from that piece of art. Who did you get to do all this artwork?
So the the covers are Runehammer, and also the character art is Runehammer. So
Really?
we've got and he, if you look in your Shadow Dark, he was an artist for Runehammer, and then all the demons and Urfiends and devils, those are all John Bilodeau. So both of these people. Here's what I will say. So both of these people had stock art on drive-through, and for Dark Visions, I used their stock art, and I did very well with Dark Devil with Dark Visions because my costs were low. But so this time around, I said, you know what, I'm just going to commission these people to do artwork. So John Bilodeau is doing 16 creatures, and then all the characters are all done by Runehammer.
I got to jump in real quick as a writer to hear that when I learned that a lot of my creatures are going to have art commissioned for them is like the coolest feeling ever, right? Like let me create all these things, then someone's going to actually bring it to life, and it's not just my chicken scratch, drawings. I'm really excited for this.
These will not look typical. These will look all the creatures John has knocked them out of the park. So
that's just lovely. It's
Paul
absolutely.
says they look like drawings of minis.
So the thing is, the thing that I really appreciate about, because this is a group of people who did the adventures, and also a group of people, several people working on the core book, but I think it's kind of a fine line. I think how you're going to thread this, right? Because you can kind of go one way where it's just kind of stale stats as of the monster manual is, how it was handled in the past with Dungeons and Dragons, or you could just go into very deep, dark territory, very nihilistic. And I think, to me, I think all the writers, Will and Zach and Daniel, I think they were all able to kind of capture an 80s metal, weird, gross, but also fun vibe to the whole thing. And so I think that, and tied with the art, I think this is this really seems like this as a cohesive unit where it's really coming together nicely.
There's a nice I'd say rough hewn approach to it, and it's very much, when you look at the characters in particular, there's just this lovely little edge of throwback to Tank Girl. And I say that as a really, really high compliment, right? This is like O'Neill's martial law, or
oh, damn, you're right. I didn't even think of that.
Martial law.
Right. This is why he has me on every once in a while.
Tank Girl references, hell yeah.
Yeah,
but I love the Cat o' Nine Tails. Like, that's just great. Can you scroll down till you get to the priest again? I love that the priest, the priest has glasses, right? He's too busy working on the pentagram to even be bothered to take his glasses off, because he actually needs to see what he's doing with the symbol. I really like that. That's a nice little touch, By day, he's your insurance adjuster. By night,
oh, that's just Rodney summoning another demon.
Right,
yeah, it's all right.
Rodney's a good guy for nationwide, right? And then it's all downhill from there. So keep going, Eric. So let me ask a very odd question that occurred to me as I was looking at this. So how hard did you have to work with the printer to match the size of the Shadow Dark books? Did you have to was there some back and forth, or were they just yeah, okay? Or
no, it's standard A5.
Yep.
So even though the printer is in the US,
Yep.
I use Walsworth out of Marcine, Missouri. They they just order the paper. So what you'll do is you'll get your books, and they'll just order the paper, and the paper comes in a giant roll, and then they print it.
No, I think that's the other. Look at that. Just look at that, right? There's a lot of looted bodies behind that character.
For sure.
No question. The pants not fit? Who cares? Right? Do I have a breastplate? I'm working on it. But I do have 2 decorative skulls, and that's what's important.
Rodney raised his hand when it came time for the breastplate, and we had to give it to him.
It's fun working with artists, because some are. I will say the guy who did this, Runehammer, he really comes across as an artist. I mean, some people I deal with, it's kind of more business and things are very straightforward, blah 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 blah. But with Runehammer, it's the way he talks, the way he responds. It's just kind of funny. It just he's definitely one of the artists.
They are artists for a reason.
Yeah, and he kicks that stuff out. So I would say that he's also very good. If you're looking to commission art, he is very good and very fast. He knows what he's doing, and also John as well. They're both really good. So and the prices are reasonable. So
do you just, Jeff, do you just wake up some days and pinch yourself and think, I'm living the greatest life I could possibly live?
It is really weird how things just sort of come together. And even though I do put a lot of work, it just still kind of seems like things just kind of materialize. And I'm not always exactly sure how it happens.
So Eric, I sent you a video in our super secret chat.
Oh,
and I want you to pull that. If you can download that and we can insert this. I want to show this because I really put a lot of thought into. I was trying to think of some things to bring tonight, and this is one of them. And so it's a video of Brian Eno talking about being creative. And I thought that this was something that would be really good and dovetail very nicely into the conversation tonight. So while Eric is fiddling with this,
I got it fiddled.
Okay, so I want to sort of just I'm sorry, I want to inject this because I think it's really relevant to what the two of you represent and what you're doing. And so just give this a listen as he sort of talks about this.
Are usually articulated by individuals. They're nearly always generated by communities. And I think what I what I see as the waste is the waste that we make of that possibility of cooperative intelligence. Being an artist, you hear a lot of talk about genius, which is the process of singling out certain people in art history and saying those were the important ones, Picasso, Rembrandt, Shostakovich, whatever. Whenever you look at any of those artists, you find that they lived and drew from a very, very active, flourishing cultural scene. And they were only one of the elements in that scene. All these people who are called genius actually sat in the middle of something that I call scenius, S-C-E-N-I-U-S. So just as genius is the creative intelligence of an individual, scenius is the creative intelligence of a community. And what I want to see is more attention given to that possibility of creative behavior. So what that means, of course, is two things. One of them is the understanding that all people are born unequal, so everybody has a particular and unique set of gifts and talents, whatever they are. And secondly, that intelligence is generated by communities, by cooperation of some kind. So I suppose the thing about the biggest obstacle to that at the moment is that people have to earn a living. I often get asked to come and talk at art schools, and I rarely get asked back because the first thing I always say is, I'm here to persuade you not to have a job. And the professors always look a bit nervous at that point, since they often consider that their task is to somehow smooth you into a job. So my first message to people is try not to get a job. That doesn't mean try not to do anything. It means try to leave yourself in a position where you do the things that you want to do with your time, and where you take maximum advantage of whatever your possibilities are. And I suppose the obstacle is that, of course, most people aren't in a position to do that. So I want to do anything to work to a future where everybody is in a position to do that. I should say that in terms of basic income, I probably know less about the subject than anybody else here. But what I do know is that the concept is the closest thing I've heard to achieving the kind of future that I would like to live in. I think...
Okay, so that it gets just a smidge off just at the very end. But Jeff, what I really, when we've talked about what you've done, when we've talked about your track record, Eric will get Brian Eno off the screen here. I hope that you appreciated that, because really and truly, I think you are a great example of what we see in what I would call the OSR at large, or the tier slightly below the big guys of Hasbro, WotC / Paizo and Goodman. There is such craft in this tier that you are in, where you keep cranking out these projects. The two of you are just a classic example of this, right? That there's a community that's feeding and generating ideas and generating things to fit the community and so on and so forth. So I hope that resonates with you. But I was really trying to come up with some stuff for tonight's show, and I hope that hits the mark. Now, you're not doing anything, so I'm afraid that I've stunned you.
Well, because you compared him to the guy that created Roxy Music, and also three of the best Bowie albums of all time, Low, Lodger, and Heroes. But don't worry, no pressure at all, Jeff. No pressure. Nothing.
So really, ultimately, I think what I bring to the table is I'm able to bring other people together to produce products, because none of the stuff, I could not produce the amount of stuff that I do, nor could I do it as well on my own, and it's not possible. So I have my strengths, I have my I know where my weaknesses are, but it's having a community. And I will say, I think with this, and Will can attest, so we've had a Facebook community. Everybody pretty much knows each other, but the amount of camaraderie, the amount of people feeding other people stuff, some nonsense that just goes on, and that, I think that fueled a lot of what this book has become.
Well, it's the Devoured Labyrinth. I think was my my first real introduction to how we've started to do things lately, where we get we just gather a whole group of us who just have kind of a similar vibe as to what we would like, like how we write and what we see the final product being. And Jeff's kind of over there. Jeff is contributing, but also just sort of sitting over there with like a baton, sort of just directing us the way we need to go, right? Like a symphony, and he's gathered all of us as these wacky musicians. But it's very cool because I tried for years to try to do things on my own, and it was difficult. It was nerve-wracking. There was no feedback beyond either my friends saying something nice, or once in every 40 purchases somebody might say it was neat. And and now we're working all together in this big collective, this genius, right? Genius, I believe is what he called it.
Yes.
And the ideas are now expanding, right? Because we're constantly bouncing ideas off each other. We're looking at each other's writing, because we're all writing in the same document, right? We're not just bringing individual pieces together and trying to fit them in. We're all doing this together. And as we see one person kind of have a genius way to format something or a new addition, we're like, oh shoot, I want to get that in there, right? And so the whole project keeps expanding and becoming even better because we're all doing this together and watching and we're talking. It's been really cool. And Devoured Labyrinth was the first one, but Dark Deviltry was sort of a kind of the natural progression of this for us, at least.
No, I think it's terribly exciting. I feel like Jim's AV contribution has failed terribly, so I'm going to be taking it on the chin. But really and truly, I thought a lot about you coming on tonight, and I thought about the last time you were on, and what we talked about, and the track record you have for producing, and again, it's drawing in these other talents and coming together to create amazing things. And I think that's one of the great hallmarks of I call it the middle tier of role-playing games. And what we see it time and time again, right? We often talk on this show about Shadow Dark. Well, Shadow Dark, she slogged through the trenches forever, but it is very firmly in the middle tier. It is not a part of WotC. It's not a part of Paizo. It's not a part of Goodman Games. It is its own unique ecosphere, and it came out of everything else that was bubbling and burbling around it. And I love the idea that I love that you are using artwork that just thematically just dovetails right into it. It's perfect. All of this stuff, we can't predict what role-playing is going to look like in 20 years. We had no idea 20 years ago what role-playing was going to look like now. And that's fine. But this artistic community that's constantly, it's like a shoggoth. It's throwing out eyeballs. It's throwing out ears. It's throwing out noses. You just have no idea what's coming next. But out of that swirling mass, there are interesting things that happen in that space. My God, he's still stunned.
When you how hard do you have to work to keep Zach on track all the time? Does he bring his game to every time that you write something, or do you have to? Does he backslide? And you have to say, "Look, dude, pick it up. Come on, man."
I will tell you that
I'm giving you a hard time because the guy.
Yeah, I will say that Zach is probably a unicorn. I don't know of anybody that can produce as much as fast and who has the level of expertise in so many things like Zach does.
Yeah, it's funny because when you're just cranking along a Kickstarter month, I was just looking through my back stock. I'm like, his name's on everything. What is he doing? He's just writing for you constantly. That's all. Zach. And by the way, Zach Goins. We're not talking about other Zachs in our community. Not Zach Glazier. God knows, not the other Zach guy.
And also not the other Zach Goins.
Yeah, not the other Zach.
There's a Shadow Zach, yes. There's another Zach Goins.
Yep,
they both look
so many Zachs. I'm not sure which Zach to go. Yeah.
So Zach and I, we have a strange relationship. We are not, and people sometimes think we're partners. We had this discussion. We're not partners. He works for me, and sometimes I work for him. And but whatever we do, we kind of collaborate, even though there's some things Zach does that I'm not on. There's some things I do that Zach still does the Kickstarters, but we just kind of it's I don't know how to describe it, but but I will say that without him doing the Kickstarters and the backer kit, number one, without him doing it, I would not be able to do 10 Kickstarters a year. That's a fact. And then also the articles and such is a big boost as well. But I will say that the Dark Deviltry was largely, it was me. I proposed something to Zach, and then months later, all of a sudden, he assembled an army, and it just was like, here, just write me checks. I'm like, okay, just write me checks. Like, okay.
I got to be honest. I actually didn't even realize Jeff was a part of the project until about a month.
Wow.
Well, so Zach,
What are you
Zach
doing
was-
here, Jeff? What are you doing here?
Well, so like Zach lives down the street from me, metaphorically down the highway about 20 miles or so, and so we play games together regularly, and we got together and we've been talking about this a couple of times. You know, we play a game and we talk about this project. We play a game, you know, another game next week. We talk more about this project, and then he gives me a call. He's like, "Hey, I need you. I got the document open. We're gonna start writing this." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Yeah." And then if you have anything you need to run by Jeff, run it by Jeff. I'm like, "Jeff's involved? Okay, cool." And then I remembered that like Jeff had 2 months ago had reached out to me saying, "Hey, Will, I want to talk to you about a project." But this is always how it goes from my perspective. Jeff goes, "Hey, Will, I want to talk to you about a project, but I don't have time to talk to you. You know, we don't have time yet to touch base. We'll touch base next week." But then Zach 20 minutes later shows up and goes, "Hey, I'm going to talk to you about a project, and you're going to sit here and listen until I'm done talking." and it's exactly what Jeff wants to tell me. But, you know, and then I just kind of forget because I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Jeff, I can't work with you on this because I'm working with Zach." Well, it's the same project.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, thank God. Right.
This is great.
Is there anybody else that's exhausted just listening to that? Because I feel like I need
I
a
love it.
cigarette and I don't
No,
even.
that's why I got my rock
That's
star going. I need to catch up.
Holy crap, man!
I love it, man. That's somebody that's pumped up about their stuff.
Good grief.
So
That's
your most successful project was Dark Visions, or I can't remember if I missed one there. I think Dark
Yeah,
Visions.
so that's one funded the most and also had the most profit. So
But
this one,
you're looking like you're on track pretty good. You're up to 29, 25. I can't.
yeah, I'm at 26.8 right now.
Yeah,
so
you're close. You're close to
But-
Dark Visions.
yeah, but I also have about probably over $10,000 more into this project than I did
Oh.
Dark Visions.
Yeah, that's the problem. Once you start putting out good material, you got to keep it up, and you gotta start pumping money in there. You can't go on a budget anymore, you know. Yeah, I mean, nobody asks Michael Bay to make a $10 million movie anymore. I mean, he's got to spend, $100 million now. So yeah, I got
It's
you.
the curse of success. You can't just go to Kinko's and then have them staple and fold it.
Right.
This is the thing. This is all speculation. Every project is speculation. And my philosophy is I don't get the funding and then write it. I make it how I want it to be made, get the things done, and then take it to Kickstarter. So the risk is, I won't say the risk, but Dark Visions was a unique thing. I mean, the amount of outlaying costs that I had in the beginning was low compared to its funding. This one I'd hoped it would be past this point by now, but I'm happy with it. I'll make a profit out of it. I'll have a bunch of books to sell, and
Anybody
really
that's
cool.
thinking about backing, I like the couple of things I like to break. First of all, you will get the project, and it will not be late. I've never had anything late because it's already done. Right, your stuff is always
So-
it's pretty much already done.
So what I will say that all the main book is written. All 3 of the 4 adventures are completely written. What's the 4th one is, I think, pretty close. It just needs to get some finalized. So what still needs to happen? Also I've got probably 80% of the artwork in. So everything needs to go through an editor. Also, all the adventures, Zach's going to go through one time to make sure, because it's written by different people, that it's a cohesive thing, and then that's going to go to an editor. And I still have layout. And then I also have not contacted the printer yet. So then obviously once you contact the printer, it's like could be 6 to 8 weeks before, or it could be longer, depending, before you contact them before they can go to press.
So you haven't contacted the printer to get a scope of what the cost of the book is yet?
Well, no, but I've been working with them.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to ask that question, but
I just ordered So I've been doing the publishing side for like Dark Labyrinth or Devoured Labyrinth. So it's the same printer. So same printers I use for that. Same printer I use for.
You have a prior relationship.
Oh yeah, very close to the printer.
All right. Yeah. I was like, what?
On a side note, I did notice that Dark Deviltry is scheduled to be out for May 2026, which, by the way, was when Devoured Labyrinth was also supposed to be released in May of 2026, and Devoured Labyrinth is currently being shipped out to people as we speak. To a few people, so it's it might be right on time. It might be 6 months early. Who knows?
Yeah,
right?
You're going to ruin Kickstarter for people. You do realize that.
Good.
I can't believe I have to wait less than 6 years.
Wait. I'm told I got to wait 8 months, and you're going to give it to me. What?
Yeah, don't do that, man. Don't get people expecting better stuff than you're
going to ship a product.
So Zach, I was trying to talk with Zach. I'm sorry to interrupt with this weird little side story. Zach and I were talking about Kickstarters because I want to run my own at some point, probably early next year. And one thing Zach was telling me as a big piece of advice is that get the writing done before the like most of the writing done, if not all of it, before you even launch that Kickstarter. Because what happens to a lot of these people is that you don't have it all done. You're riding the wave of the Kickstarter, then the Kickstarter ends, and then suddenly there's no future hope of what this could be. It's like, exactly what this is now. You know exactly how much it was worth, and the bubble starts to deflate, right? The high that you are riding to get this project done starts to deflate. And I am not saying this is what happens to most Kickstarters. I'm saying that according to Zach, this happens to a lot of Kickstarters. So I think one of the good things that Jeff and Zach are doing is making sure that before we hit go, we've got as much of it done as possible so we don't have to deal with that deflated bubble.
That's great advice. And look, and more people need to take that advice. And that's one of the reasons why Kickstarter is what it is today, because too many people in the beginning didn't even understand that advice. And they were like, I'm just going to go. I got an idea and I want you to back my idea.
Mike, I'm going to throw out the prime example. Far West.
Oh,
right? Great concept. Raised $50,000 and was never written. And in the time it wasn't written, it changed systems before it finally came out. So that tells you how much it was never written over the course of 10 years plus. I mean, Rach and I literally got married when it funded, and I think we celebrated our 10th anniversary, 11th anniversary before it actually shipped. So, yeah, because the motivation's done, right? You got the money. What is the motivation?
You definitely lose something. Yes, that's
true. Come on. This is our golden rule of Kickstarters. Don't back a Kickstarter that's not written for the most part.
Right.
If they're like, well, once I get the money, I'm going to write it. Sure, you're going to be on the beach in Bermuda, and we may see something from PDF, but there's no guarantee.
Right. I mean, as an example, like Jeff Block, all right, the Grey Hawk Ragnar, when he does his Kickstarters, everything is written. He's kickstarting for the art. And he goes, the better I do, the better the art's going to be. But he wants to make sure every word is done before, and it's understanding yourself, too. I'm sure there are people that can motivate themselves after that check already lands.
Is there any motivation for George R. R. Martin to write one single syllable more for Game of Thrones?
No.
The miniseries is done. He's got his money. He has zero motivation to ever finish that monstrosity. It will never be done.
Am I the only one who firmly believes that he was going to write those books, but then he saw the reaction to his idea and went, "Oh, you guys didn't like how this ended? Then I guess I'm going to move to Bermuda. Oh, with all of the money? Sure, not to hide from everyone."
I think I don't know if this will come after he dies or whatever, but I think what we're running into, and this has happened to a lot of famous authors over the years. One of my favorite horror writers, T.E.D. Klein, had a very famous 20-year writer block, literally 20 years. He's writing again after 20 years, but he wrote some of the best horror books and short stories imaginable in the 80s. He wrote a book called The Ceremonies and some really good horror stories. And he literally had writer's block for a decade and a half. I mean, just couldn't do anything. So he started editing. And after he edited for about 15 years, he finally got the mojo back. But I think George I think he hit a writer's block, and it was so many characters, and what are they all going to do, and how do I bring it all together? And he froze.
He doesn't care.
And he
He's
doesn't
got
care.
more
And
money
he started
than he
getting
knows what to
checks from
do with.
HBO, and he's like, "Hello, check! It comes in the mail, and I don't have to do a thing." And he put that in the bank, and after about
We talked about this a week or so ago. That like he bought the house next door for his toy soldier collection and to move his Miata to that driveway. And I've seen George; he's not getting a Miata anytime soon, right? He's just
he's
all those checks.
What?
and he's about 3 cheeseburgers away from never finishing it the whole series anyway. So
The big one. It's the big one, Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
It's the big
So
one.
yeah, there's a lot of that is good advice. Have it done, have it finished, because things change. You don't know what who knows what could happen.
I think, and kind of to tack this on to the end of that, what I see also happen is, some of them do maintain, are able to still get the project done, albeit it takes a while, but they get it done. But then, like shipping costs, right? Shipping costs have drastically changed from when you've done the Kickstarter, and now you're having to go and apologize to everyone. You're having to fight, basically trying to explain, hey, I know that I'm 6 months behind, but also I wasn't expecting prices to change. It's like, well, yeah, if you are doing your Kickstarter now and you aren't ready to pull that trigger fast, then the entire landscape can just up and change on you. And there's really nobody to blame but, in some ways, but yourself for, for taking that long to do it. You got to put the investment in first before you start asking other people to put the investment in.
We got to go back to talking about the project, because I feel what we're talking about now is just what Eric rants about every other week.
Yeah.
Because really and truly, like, you just keep talking and you keep saying things, and I'm just thinking of prior Kickstarters, right? And there's like the Memorial Tomb. There's an endless list of things, and we see it. Like, we have some golden rules of Kickstarters. If the book's not written, don't fund the project, because you're only going to get bit by this. If they don't have a publishing history, why are you going to believe for a second they're going to ship you a $500 slipcase book because they've never done layout before? This is not going to happen. These are pie in the sky dreams.
So a nice transition then would be, hey, who's never on that list? Jeff.
That guy. That guy right there.
Yeah.
And let's give him a hand, though, because he was so cool when, like, Gandalf or somebody walked behind him with a backpack and a staff. That was pretty clever. I like that. Didn't even phase him.
No. I'm used to Gandalf walking around all the time.
So Jeff, to another question. So the quality of your books is amazing. You got the slick covers. I mean, they hold up to numerous rereadings and et cetera, et cetera. Well, was this a conscious decision to just make it one step above, like what you'd see, like maybe an OSR fanzine or publication? Because these are absolutely beautiful books. So they're really amazing.
Yeah, I think so. There are print on demand. So like one I use is Mix'em, and they are print on demand, but I think they're a little bit better quality than most.
Absolutely, yeah. They are.
Lulu, those I believe are Lulu books. Those I can't remember the soft covers. Lulu does a decent job. The problem is a lot of people do the drive-through, which is the lightning source, which is whatever. Those tend to be a significant drop in quality. Mm-hmm. So I think most of the problems you're seeing anymore with poor printing largely has to do with lighting source.
I don't know. I think some of the people print pretty bad products. You're being very kind, but at the same time, I've seen some things where I'm just like, I wouldn't touch that with a dead cat.
Yeah, and I will say then also the hardcovers going to a Smythe Sewn. That's a not everybody does that. And it doesn't necessarily add to the cost as much as it adds to you have to buy a lot of books in order to get the price point, which you make it reasonable. So that's the problem. So in general, you can get. I think nowadays you can, if people want to, they can get very good quality books printed.
So I feel like what you're saying here, Jeff, is that that we would love to maintain this level of quality. Yeah. So those of you at home, back our Kickstarter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
yeah.
we'll be printing on printer paper and stapling zines together. And
No fan folded printed projects here, please. Thank
No.
no,
you. Yes.
No, I take a lot of.
No, I would say I get a lot of OSR type publications. I'm like Eric. I'm a huge fan of fanzines, and even though I don't know why Eric keeps wanting to call them zines, it drives me insane.
Listen, I'm
Because-
fixed now. I'm fixed. All right.
He'll be doing a video about it. He goes zine. Oh wait, as Mike tells me, zine, but zine. But yeah, I get a lot of that stuff, and consistently, Jeff, your stuff's top of the heap in that regard of how well together it's put.
but to be honest, I want to also go the other way. I really do want to go. I've never really done an honest to goodness zine where typewriter, scissors, glue, and photocopying. That's on my to-do list for a project someday.
If you ever want to do one for North Texas, we look. If you want to do that for North Texas as a project, let Gary and I know. We'll finance it, and that would be awesome.
He's going to come on the show with Band-Aids on his fingers from where he was using the X-Acto knife to do the layout with the glue stick. And the stuff. Yeah, it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be just spectacular.
Jeff, I think that's going to be the one project I'm going to go ahead and say I'm busy on when you start that one.
Wow.
You're already losing contributors.
I wanted to do a zine on the TV series Burn Notice, and I may still dig that out eventually.
Stop! I can only go erect.
I've never finished that series. I'm on like season 6 or something, and I got stalled out.
The finale was crazy. Was crazy.
It was
emotional. I really thought I don't want to give it away, but my goodness, the finale was fantastic.
Great
fantastic.
Show, that was a great cast. That cast worked really good together, and the writing was. I mean, it wasn't like the best thing it wasn't like Breaking Bad quality, but it gave you a solid experience every week. And
it's from the heyday, right? So we all remember when the USA Network was nothing but wings for like 24 hours a day. Right? It was just wings after wings after wings. You're just like, I liked the show before I found this channel, and now I hate you. But
there's only so much.
There was like the Bike Cop show and a bunch of others where they, we're going to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And then they got into this great stride. And that first season of Burn Notice is just one great little thing after another. I love that his mom is the chain smoking Sharon Glass, and she's just like
Sharon Glass.
Oh, I had enough of your shit. And his girlfriend is not his girlfriend, but was his girlfriend, and she's like, and his friend, his best friend, is Bruce Campbell.
Yes, Bruce Campbell.
Better.
That's great part. Yeah, he's got a great part there too. So.
I thought about trying to contact the writer for that and have him on a podcast.
Oh my God, that would be just fire. That would be absolutely. And there's a good show.
There's a good category of shows like that they trundle along for numerous seasons and they don't really lose quality because so many of the shows we love. I'm a huge Blacklist fan. I think the writing was amazing on that, and of course that's James Spader's best part ever. He's just amazing. But man, the writing just started dropping quality, and then they went on season, and it was like 10 seasons long. And by season 7, you're done, and you're only watching it because James Spader is just such an absolute genius.
I believe I could advance very far in my company if I started early on, just acting like James Spader, just talk like him, slow, confident, don't say a whole lot. Infer a lot of things. What you're saying?
You watch the show, just every episode. You watch the show because he walks in somewhere. It may be a laundry, a restaurant, a bistro, a congressman, whatever. He walks in, and then the scene becomes James Spader just owning the screen for 5 minutes, and you're just like, yes. Why can't I do that? Why can't I just walk in the room and immediately control the entire situation? And it's a great show. Anybody hasn't seen it, at least give yourself the pleasure watching the first 2 or 3 seasons.
I tapped out after like 5th because the storyline got so convoluted. I was like,
well, especially the daughter, not his daughter,
yeah,
not his daughter.
I don't.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And yeah, but there's some shows like that, and the Burn Notice I think falls in the category. It was never up here, but it was never down here. It's solidly right here. And you could, when I was rewatching them all, like I think it was on Netflix for a while. And I'd watch one episode every night, and it just it just sit down. You're going to be
just it always had a certain median of quality, right?
It's a nice hamburger.
Yes, yeah.
It's
always a pizza.
Absolutely, we all need hamburgers.
It's sex and pizza. It's still a good. You may not be the best pizza, but it's still a pizza.
Like Burn Notice was always off season to Psych, right? Like they would, when Burn Notice would go off, then we get another season of Psych, and then we get another season of Burn Notice, and we get, they just. It was a very fun time for that kind of television. I think I was more of a Psych guy, to be honest. But
it was Psych, it was Monk, it was all these shows, and USA just built this wonderful little stable of quirky shows. And if you found your show, you were in, right? You were just like, it's why Monk lasted forever. It's why Psych lasted forever, right? It's the same thing.
But they so many shows hit their sweet spot, and then they kind of hit that, like, okay, we're going to coast. And it's really rare when you find that one or two. I was making a list the other day of shows that I think maintain quality of the entire, and there's just not a ton of them. I mean, you have stuff like The Wire, obviously, which is really, really good. And I like House was really, like, every episode of House is great mostly because of Hugh Laurie. He's kind of like the James Spader of, he's James Spader's, except he's a doctor basically. But it's the same. Whenever he walks in, he's going to dominate this, the show. But you just don't see it. First of all, you don't see that as much anymore. It seems like episodic television is just really taking a downturn. It's just not that good. And the quality is it's real wavery. And nowadays, how many Chicago whatever shows are there? God. There's or NCIS, or now they just take one franchise and they beat you over the head with Law and Order, NCIS, and Chicago Trash, and Chicago Emergency Vehicle, and
Chicago
I swear they're gonna have a show about. They're going to have a show about Bill Meinhardt's house. It's going to be Chicago Collector someday. And it's going to be Bill Meinhardt's collection.
That'll be on the History Channel. Come on.
Law and Order.
But yeah, they just don't do that. Yeah. Oh, and didn't they just have? Was it NCIS Australia? Is it going to be spiders biting people all the time? What is NCIS Australia?
Just a lot of kangaroos with knives, right? A lot of kangaroos with knives.
Some very buff kangaroos.
To the project, because it just sounded like we went back to the project.
Yes, exactly.
Here comes the.
So you asked me what You asked me what I was most proud of in this. I'm pretty sure you asked that, and it has to be the kangaroo, which is the giant kangaroo with blades for fingers.
It'll drown your dog. It's that mean.
Well, you see, we didn't get back to the project. Go figure that one out.
Yes, Law and Order Session 0. I like that.
Somebody mentioned the 911 shows. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something about 911 shows. If you want to be entertained by ridiculousness, tune into any 911 show. They're ludicrous. They're the most absolute ludicrous shows on television. I happen to be watching something, and it segued into 911, and I'm watching this thing. It's 911 Lone Star. And I'll just tell you, the only thing I could figure out is whoever wrote it has never been in their life. It was just off the rails. And at the end, I'm like, I want to see another one because that was so bad it was good. So,
let's terrible. Remember when CSI begat all the other flavors.
Oh my God!
And you're just, stop this.
Yeah, you had Las Vegas, New York, Miami. Iowa.
My friend was like, "Oh man, you watch CSI, right? Because you're a cop." I watched one episode. It was the victim of a sex crime. And they put the evidence in a plastic evidence bag.
I looked for that every time.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done. You just rotted away everything within 24 hours.
Eric, I can always tell a good show because you told me that. I saw a show the other day. My wife and I watched it, and they put the evidence in a paper bag. And I said, Eric would love this show because that is absolutely accurate.
Depending on if it has any kind of biological evidence on it, it's going into a paper bag, because otherwise you rot it. But I mean, that killed me, and I give a lot of credit to Law and Order, because when they were filming at my old neighborhood haunt, they came down they sent 2 producers down a month earlier, and they were just hanging out, looking at the atmosphere. My bartender was a retired detective, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, Eric's still active." And they asked me not the normal questions. They asked me questions like, well, with female officers, can they like dye their hair strange colors?" I'm like, "No, but they do." And they're like, "What?" I go, "Because honestly, no male supervisor is going to tell a female that their hair is the wrong color, because that could be an equal opportunity offense, an employment issue. So they're not going to touch that." I go, "What about nails?" I go, "Same thing. Unless they are grossly out of place, you're going to err on the side of letting the woman get away with it." But they came down and actually scouted it out and actually was looking to ask the right questions. Yeah, and that's why details like on Law and Order matter, because they actually care about the series. And we're going to bring it back to what we were talking about, this project. When you get people like Jeff, you have a project manager who gives a flying fuck. Okay, he really lives and breathes these projects, and I know that because I did work with him on Torchlight 0 and 1. And it would have been Continual Light if the OGL hadn't taken the wind out of my sails. But Jeff is an amazing manager when it comes to this stuff, and he does it because he's involved in the process. He doesn't just say point. He is willing to step in and probably pretty much do any role that's necessary to keep it moving forward, and that's rare in any job.
So,
but yes.
I was going to say, one thing I want to also give Jeff credit for, and I don't know if I've said this to you, Jeff, or not, but I love you. No, that's not what I was saying. Jeff is one of the few people who have managed a project that I have been on that actually provides feedback.
Yes.
Right. And this is something that I find, and I've talked with a couple of other writers about this. This is something that's actually kind of hard to find in tabletop role playing. There's just a lot of getting feedback from the project manager is difficult, other than just, hey, it's great, right? And but Jeff, on the other hand, like, will send me stuff back with very specific feedback. Like, I need this to be weirder. Okay, I said specific feedback. I never know what he means when he asks for it to be weirder, but he's telling me he wants us to go into a different direction.
If Will gives me something that sounds normal, he's holding back.
That's true. Yeah. I was terrified, right? I was terrified to give you the weird stuff. But no, it's something that I think one, I appreciate Jeff for, but two, I really wish others would do this, is get involved. Like, tell us what you think. Like, look, I know that I'm the writer, but you can tell me I'm wrong or I'm going off base here. You can steer me back in a different, or you can bring out the best in me. And I just deeply appreciate that about Jeff. Kind of to your point, Eric.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's hard. I also think sometimes it's also kind of hard. I mean, going from a person that's producing to himself to also having it's managing. It's there's times where I have to start thinking about things a little bit differently and try and it's kind of there's this fine line, right, between you may have a vision, but also somebody else has a vision, and you just need to also part of it's also learning to come to a point where it's like part of this is theirs too, right? And it can't just be dictating exactly what it is, but also I think the other part is encourage them to really do the best. And I think with a lot of people who produce, but even with artists, I try and never ever cause a situation to have to redo something. Like, take what they're doing, but let's just move it a little different direction. Because most of the time people do have a great idea and a great direction. It just needs to be just adjusted a little bit.
A nudge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally understand.
So Jeff, your current output is, you said, about 10 Kickstarters a year?
Yes.
That's your. Do you feel comfortable with that? Is that what you're going to continue with for the near future? Are you going to try to ramp it up? You're going to try to push it down a little bit?
Well,
I mean, is that
I think my
your-
attempt is, so I'll know after I talk to a financial advisor next week. But I think the idea would be, if I can retire from my day job here in a few months, I plan on also trying to get into traditional publishing. So yeah, so I'm going to start with some public domain stuff and then work my way up from there. So I want to keep doing all the RPG stuff, plus maybe a little bit more, but also like produce a really nice John Carter Mars illustrated hardcover book.
Ooh. Always in the market for something
That'd
like
be
that,
cool.
yes. And now you got some really cool stuff entering public domain. All the stuff in the 20s
Yeah.
is 1920s, and you're working way up to the 30s, and there's a lot of great fantasy and sci-fi that came out in that time period.
I'd like to do some Sword and Planet is where I think I would like to start focusing as well. So the idea would be start with some stuff that's easier, do really nice book sets, do them through Kickstarter, nice paper, like say commissioning illustrations, just make it a really quality product and just move on from there and see where that goes.
It's always interesting, all three of us are big John Carter fans. We spent a lot of time last week talking about this, and it's funny because no matter how much time goes by, you still have people discover that series, and it's such an amazing amount of world building and satire on real life and implausibility, but 12-year-olds can just dive right into that world and just put yourself into it. I've mentioned this before, but S.M. Sterling he's now done a third book. He did his own pastiche of the Venus novels and the Mars novels. And then he, after more than a decade, another publisher picked him up and said, we'd love a third. So he wrote the third. And I think he's working on a fourth. I love the whole idea of this, Carson of Venus and Mars and so on.
There's also a gal named Leigh Brackett. She wrote Leigh Brackett. She wrote the screenplay for Empire Strikes Back. I would like to she did a ton of Swords and Planet
really good stuff too. Yeah.
Yes.
But what I'm also doing is going to work with I got a guy picked out to be an editor, and he's also tied into like the academic community. So I would like to also have essays, not just do the books, but just have essays that people would write, and so really make this, like especially for like Leigh Brackett, she's a very important figure that probably gets, we'll say, like an unsung hero, but she's produced some work that's very important. So I think highlighting even some people that maybe aren't well known, see if we can get those people elevated. But John Carter, I mean, obviously with Edgar Rice Burroughs, that series is fantastic. But I think that's probably an easier sell in the beginning to try and produce and maybe see where that goes.
Well, be careful though, because there's a story about a famous writer who was going to do a collector's edition of Varney the Vampire, which came out I think in 1850, and it was one of the first vampire penny dreadfuls. And he had this whole plan. He had an artist hired. He had this beautiful. It was going to be this beautiful hardcover set. And right before he okayed this is before Kickstarter, by the way. This is back in like the 80s. Right before he had okayed, a big publishing company came out with a gorgeous version of it. And he'd been planning on this for about a year, and the entire thing was gone. And it was like, all right, well, next project.
So I brought this idea to two different people. One who is a Robert E. Howard, but he's written biographies and stuff of Robert E. Howard, and he's a big Robert E. Howard buff. And he got excited, and I also talked to Daniel Fox also. My plan was, and he got excited because there really isn't. People are putting out like EPUBs, cheap EPUBs or cheap novels, but nobody's normally doing deluxe, and maybe somebody will, and that's okay if they do, because I'm going to be going through Kickstarter, so I won't because of the nature of it. I won't necessarily have a lot of outline costs, so probably pay for the cover. I'll do all the layout and all that stuff myself. Probably work with some people to produce some additional articles, but I'll probably use the Kickstarter to fund internal art.
There you go.
Well, and I think when you look at exactly what Mike said, when you look at all the stuff that's coming into public domain, when you look at all the things that you can play around with, our next decade is going to see so much stuff enter public domain. The first year of Doc Savage, the first couple of years of Doc Savage, which frankly I think are the best. The early work of the Shadow. There's a group that's working on there's a group that's putting all the stuff that's available from the pulps in public domain in easily findable, easily searchable form. And I love this, right? Because for so long it languished, and now there's a resurgence of interest, and I'm pretty good with that. I'm really, and it's not like I don't have room on my bookcases for more things like this. I'm your absolute target audience. And
yeah, it's and I think you're right with all this coming up. There's a lot of opportunities, and I did see somebody is like done deluxe Frankenstein. They're over like $300,000. They're selling like $300 books. They're all handmade, but I don't think I'll go to to that degree. But
try to make it affordable. That'd be awesome.
Limits.
Yeah, I think I can keep it. So I don't. So a lot of the trend is going into these really high deluxe end. I'm not really going for that, but I really want to produce a Smythe. So probably like with Carter of Mars, I'll probably do like the first 4 books, Smythe's Zone. But I'm not going to necessarily go crazy with it. It'll be at a reasonable hardcover price.
Well, and I think the thing is you want to have something that you can gift, right? That's a reasonable. Durability is the thing that comes back to me, because I always reread them, right? I've always reread them. I had the Whalen covers. My dad had the Italian covers.
The Whalens are amazing. I love the Mark Whalen.
Yeah, and okay, Del Rey for whatever reason abandoned all the Burroughs books. Del Rey publishes the Great Howard stuff. They publish the Great Howard trade paperbacks, but they're just the Rising Star. They're just the Rising Star books in paperback form. But they're keeping those in print. But they let all the Mars books just go, and it's just, you had Whalen at his young peak, giving him the Dream Project. You let him go. Judy Del Rey just let him do 13 covers. Knock yourself out. And yeah, I just don't understand that. I just don't. Madness.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see next year. That might be on the docket.
That's a fabulous idea.
That's very cool. Yeah, I love reprint stuff. I love affordable reprints.
I think it should be mentioned, by the way, that the Blood Sands that he was talking about earlier.
You can hold it up again.
Everybody else.
No, let's see it. Hold it up.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, here. Sorry. I was like, why is it just me on the screen now?
I wanted people could see it.
So the Blood Sands that Jeff and I have been working on, and a couple of other people have been working on, is very heavily inspired in some way by some of the writers, by John Carter of Mars, and kind of the imagery that was put in. I remember when I was writing my portion of that, I literally watched, and I'm not going to say it's the greatest movie, but the Disney version of John Carter of Mars, like over and over and over again for like a week, just to like get some of those images like implanted in my head while I'm typing, because it's hard to hold.
It wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
We just talked about it last week. We had Jim and I had a long discussion about that, and I liked it a lot. Jim maybe not as much as I did, but
oh no, I love the movie. It's just it's what we got. It's what.
Oh, right. I got it. No, I hear you. Yeah. Horribly marketed.
The missed potential of that. It is very sad that we did not get another one.
I wish it would have been less superhero-y, and I wish the ships weren't traveling as fast as they did. But other than that, that's like my biggest problem.
Sadly, it's probably the only John Carter movie we're going to get in our lifetimes, which because it says it quote unquote bomb because Disney didn't promote it correctly. It's probably people are going to stay away from it, unfortunately. So
the director of Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, Kerry Conran, shot a trailer for his version of A Princess of Mars that he wanted.
I saw that. You sent the link, Jim. That was awesome. Yes.
And it's perfect. It's the Mars
better than the trailer we got. Far better than the trailer we got.
And it's just spectacular. But if you look up Kerry Conran's Mars trailer, Princess of Mars trailer, it hits every note you would want the movie to hit. And that's what I always wanted. And we didn't get that. Okay. But what we got was at least something. So
what sucks is a lot of a lot of the pulp heroes, because Jim and I are huge pulp hero fans. A lot of the Shadow movie, the Doc Savage debacle movie, stuff like that. That came a time when a lot of superhero movies went through the same process where they weren't taken seriously. They were kind of jokey. Nobody wanted to do a quote unquote serious superhero movie. They didn't want to do a serious pulp movie. I think if you brought that sensibility to now, where we've learned that you can do a serious superhero movie, you could do, absolutely serious, and it'll make money. I'm hoping a lot of the pulp heroes, maybe somebody takes a shot with one of them, like the Spider or
Well,
Shadow
and
or Doc
it's
Savage.
interesting because Arnold Schwarzenegger's name was on 2 different movies. We all remember the George Powell Doc Savage movie. That's just, it hurts you to watch it. It's so bad. It's so campy and over the top. But Schwarzenegger for a long time was attached to the Doc Savage remake that floated around Hollywood forever. And then Jeffrey Talanian posted about what version of Omega Man do you like the best? Do you like the Charlton Heston version, or do you like the Will Smith version? And I said, well, actually, I like the Vincent Price one, which is The Last Man on Earth. It's based on the original book, and it's much closer.
Much closer than yeah.
Yep. Omega Man is okay. I like Omega Man a lot. It's a very early 70s kind of take on this. But the Will Smith movie, what's so interesting is, I would say over 20 years ago, I read the script for that was the script written for Arnold Schwarzenegger to make The Last Man on Earth. And whatever it is that it became. What's the, not Omega Man. What's
I Am Legend. It's got I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. Yeah, so it's I Am Legend. Yeah. And so it was Schwarzenegger. And when you read the script, you saw how they tailored it to Schwarzenegger and what was going to be so interesting about it, right? It starts off with him just making breakfast. And as he's making breakfast, the TV is on. But he is speaking along with the television. Like it's supposed to be a live broadcast, but he knows every word by heart. And what he's doing is he's watching a videotape. But as the script goes on, it really builds on using Arnold in this role. And it's a very different role for Arnold. It was not going to be the big action hero. He was trying to make a more thinking Arnold Schwarzenegger movie and so on. And then eventually it just couldn't happen and he walked away. But the script of Schwarzenegger's version is very different from the Will Smith version.
By the way, have you seen the alternate ending for I Am Legend, which is much better than the ending they went with on the...
I think I saw it a long time ago, but I can't remember.
One of the things that's really interesting about the book, if you read it, it's an absolutely incredible book, by the way. Even if you've seen the movies, read the book, is that the vampires in the book are intelligent. And the whole point is they're going to be the next race on Earth. People think it's going to be the cockroaches after we're going. No, it turns out it's the vampires, and we're done. Humanity is done, and they're intelligent. They're intelligent, and they're telling the main character, look, just give up. You're finished.
You're the creature we scare our children with.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I Am Legend, because you are you're the boogeyman, you're the bad guy, and eventually he becomes to embrace this, like, I'm it. I'm the last man on Earth, and this is the race that's going to take over for me. And I think that's the one thing they've left out of most of the movies. But there is a scene in the alternate version of I Am Legend where at the end, he realizes these are intelligent creatures. And they're not just these mindless monsters. I thought it was much better than the original.
So talking of alternate ending, it's sort of our Halloween show, right? So I guess I kept that in mind. I was talking about this the other day, and this is a great sort of dovetails into this. So if you have not seen the movie The Mist, this is based on a short story by Stephen King that got a lot of acclaim. It was made into an early computer game. It's always been a well-regarded. It's set in his fictional universe in Maine. There are elements to the story that then he picks up in Tommyknockers and so on and so forth. But The Mist is a terrifying read. It's a great, awful read. And the director of the movie came to King and said, listen, this is my script. I want to change your ending. let me tell you what I want to do. And if you have not seen the movie, we're not going to spoil the movie. But The Mist is one of the most horrifying movies of the last decade. And when it hits you, you literally are just going to turn off the TV and get up and walk around your house for a couple minutes and be like, sweet Jesus. Because when he told King what he wanted to do, King was all for it and said, that's scarier than what I wrote. Run with it.
It's scarier than the original ending, which is horrible. Of the book, if you read the novella, it's a horrible ending. It's horrible. Yes. But the movie version's worse.
But the other side of it is the director also said he wanted to release the movie in black and white. So when you look at the way he's shot the movie, he has recommended just turn off the color. Turn off the color and see this as like a early 1960s horror movie, right? Because it's. I was talking with my sister-in-law the other day, and I said, if you want a movie that's just you're going to turn the lights on and walk around and touch people just to make sure that you're human, go watch The Mist. And on the other side, you should go watch the Cabin in the Woods, the new one from 2010, which is still one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Great movie. It is
spectacular.
It's an absolute.
If you had told me that a cabin filled with screaming teenage Japanese girls would make me howl laughing, I would not have believed you. And it's
so self-referential. So my sister-in-law saw it, and after she saw it, she called me. She goes, "I don't understand what the movie was about." But the thing is, if you have to explain it, it's so hard to explain what it's about because it's so self-referential for any horror fan. It's first of all, it's a must-see for any horror fan. And if you have watched if you've watched more than 10 horror movies, you'll get it. And it'll be like this thing will go off in your head and you'll say, I get it. I know what he was trying to do. It's greatness. And so I love that movie, but I've had to try to explain that movie to too many people where I can just say, I just don't know if I can explain it to you.
If you ever read Fangoria magazine, it's the greatest movie ever. If you have no idea what Fangoria magazine is, you should skip it and walk away.
Yeah, if you're not a horror movie fan, it's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it. It's going to fly right over your head, and you're going to say, I don't understand what just happened. But if you are a horror fan, you're going to say, get it, got it. And there's different scenes that are going to hit you, and you're going to like, oh my gosh.
Laughing.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious and scary at the same time.
Because it starts off as a horror movie, and then it makes this left turn to Albuquerque, and you're like, "What?"
Yes, very, very, very good. That's one I haven't watched in a while. I need to watch that again because it's just so good.
But really and truly, like I was at my library and I was looking at movies, and there's another couple of movies that are like The Mist, where I see the title and I'm like, nope. I saw that, and I never need to see that ever again. Yeesh.
On a side note, because I remember we were looking at some comic book sketches. I believe one of you had gotten from an artist, Drew Goddard, who wrote or who directed Cabin in the Woods, also directed the first 2 episodes of Daredevil, which were 2 of the best episodes of that television show. I just made that connection while I was looking up some of the stuff we were talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. That makes sense. I like both of those things. So, weird side note. I don't know why I brought it up. I'm so sorry.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, it's
for side notes, man. Have you never watched this show?
I don't watch things.
We will go off on tangents so far that
Jeff's like, I am not.
It's like, I assume you've all seen the Daredevil Netflix show, where you got that very first episode where they have that just knockdown brawl throughout the hall. Or was it the second episode? There's
the second, yeah.
Second, yeah. And that was also Drew Goddard. So yeah.
By the way, I recently, I wanted to watch the new Disney Daredevil. So my wife and I watched the 3 seasons of the Netflix. And if you ever wanted to see why the MCU is not making money anymore and is just falling off the map, go back 10 years and watch the original Netflix Daredevil. It is incredible. It is so well shot. It is so well written. It is so well acted. And then if you fast forward today, and I liked the Disney but it didn't hold a candle to the first 3 seasons on Netflix. That Netflix is just absolutely amazing. Everything they did with that.
I think it's important to remember that at the same time we were getting that Daredevil show, which was fantastic, and I also love Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and Iron Fist was there, and the Punisher, like when they did that one, great. But at the same time, we were also doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which there are some things to like about it, but it was not particularly good quality, right? And so it's like Marvel was very hit or miss at the time, and Netflix.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was network TV, though. Remember, they couldn't do a lot of things. Whereas Netflix, I was surprised how much they got away with, and I'd forgotten because it was Netflix. They get away with a lot, violence, cursing, adult situations. It's rough, man. But it's good stuff. Really good.
What we remember about some of these shows that we love is we always think about, oh my God, he was perfectly cast as the Punisher. But when you watch the show now, you're like, the dude never punished anybody. Like, there's only a couple of episodes where he punishes people. It's just not like, it ain't Frank in the minivan. That's the problem.
It's only Frank in the Daredevil series. He's Frank. And then once he gets his own series, they try to do some weird stuff. And it's not really the Punisher. And apparently, so the story is he came. So when they filmed and if I'm wrong on this, let me know if you've heard anything different. But when they did the Disney version, he was out. John was out. He wasn't going to do the part. The Wilson Fisk actor was not going to come back because they did not like the direction of the Disney. They fired. So they reshot the whole series. They hired the Netflix guys to come and redo it. And then once they saw the script, they said, okay, now we're back in, because it had moved so far away from the concept of the characters. And that's one thing you're talking about, because that's what John Berthold said. He goes, he's not the Punisher. He's the Wussinator. He's not doing anything. And they said, no, we're going to come back. You're going to like the new script. But they literally, I think there's only the only episode left from the original shoot is the trial episode. The trial episode of the Disney version where they White Tiger goes on trial. Everything else was reshot because the actors were so disappointed in the direction it had taken. The characters were not. They were all touchy feely and about emotions and thinking and.
See, the antidote to that is to watch Thomas Jane's. You go on YouTube and you look up Thomas Jane Dirty Laundry.
Which is the Punisher short, but without naming the Punisher.
Yes.
They don't call
phenomenal.
That
it's
is
great.
I had a friend who sent that to me and was like, "You used to like the Punisher," and I was like, I didn't own the books, I borrowed them from a friend, but I read them all, and I was like, yeah, like it's a, poor Thomas Jane got the short end of the stick, and he's like, go watch this, and I didn't know what I was watching until I was like, holy crap. And then
he made that to try to get another Punisher movie made with him as the Punisher, but he did that to say, this is what I want to do. And I wish they'd done it, because it's a great short. And yes, you can find it on YouTube, but I think John Berthold, the great thing is he likes the character. He enjoys the character. He just wanted him to be the actual Punisher and not the Wussinator. And they were going to kind of make it an anti-gun thing. Like, does he really have to shoot?
The whole point of the Punisher is he has arsenals.
Yes.
In minivans.
Yes.
He could be the soccer mom in front of you could actually be Frank having a bad day.
So yeah, they did it. They did the Disney series ended up being good, but only because they went the left direction, and they got brought back. They had a come to Jesus moment, got brought back, and said, no, let's actually do the way it's supposed to be done. But I would anybody that likes superheroes, if you like the way the MCU used to be before they took this left turn into I don't know what watch the Netflix stuff. It's really, really good, especially compared to what they've come out with the last 5 or 6 movies that are
Iron Fist was
that was
I couldn't
like you said, it was there, but no, it was. And I tell you what I really liked. So we watched the 2 seasons of Daredevil, then we watched The Defenders, which takes place before the last season of Daredevil. And I liked The Defenders, and I didn't think I liked it at the time, but watching it over again, I go, this is pretty damn good. It was really good. And
I'm
that's
skeptical. This is
no,
skeptical because
if you watch the first 2 seasons of Daredevil, then watch the Defenders, it all.
All right, now
falls
we've
into place.
veered far and away.
We
Let's
have.
go back.
We've gone to
Talk about the
yeah,
Kickstarter because look at the man in the middle. The man
We're
in the
not in
middle
the Field
is
of Dreams
suffering
anymore.
between all of us talking about it.
we talked Burn Notice. He got to talk about Burn Notice.
Well, I love the Daredevil. I do think like one of the commenters did say it was the problem with the Netflix was too many episodes.
I agreed.
They should have about 2 or 3 episodes out
They
each
should have been
season.
8,
Perfect.
6 or 8. Yeah, 10 episodes was it even 10? Was it 12? It was way too many.
Maybe you're
Way,
right. Maybe
way
it was
too
10 or
long.
12.
Yeah, it was way too many. They should have cut that down. It would have been much better.
But I will say the Punisher fight in the bar in the second season is one of the most perfectly orchestrated storms of violence I think I've ever seen in a television episode. And you know, like I'm a guy that I'm counting down the days until my 4K copy of Hard Boiled shows up at my doorstep. I only have like 7 or 8 more days to go. And then I am settling into a chair. And even if it's a Wednesday, if I get it on a Wednesday, I won't be here. I'm going to be watching Hard Boiled in 4K. I'm telling you now.
Well, did you know? Just one quick Punisher note before we move on. Marvel wussed him out a few years back where he didn't want to shoot guns that much anymore, and he took away the skull. There's a new advertising campaign going on. It says Frank's back, and it shows him there with an Uzi and a skull, and they've learned the badness of their ways, and they have a new writer who loved him as a kid, and he says, "I'm bringing Frank back. I don't care about I don't want to shoot people and this, that. No, we're not doing that. We're doing Frank." And so,
what do you
I'm
do? Put him in
interested.
a corner? Here's you're on timeout. You shouldn't have done that. That killing people is bad. I'm going to put you on timeout, and I'll come back in 20 minutes.
There was actually a miniseries that came out when they tried to wussify Frank, and he started talking about how he didn't like guns, and they took
It
away
was his
skull.
wife.
And it basically cratered. They didn't sell an issue of it. It was awful. And so they buried him for
at one point. His wife, his wife wasn't dead, and she delivered this terrible, terrible speech, and he was going away for life in prison. And it was this entire panel that goes. I mean, the whole reason Frank is the Punisher is because his wife and children died in his arms after the mob hit. And when you just decide to shred that entire, it just doesn't work.
If I have a chance, I'm going to pick up Frank's back because it looks like they're going back to basics and say, you know what, we know what you guys want. You want red meat. You don't want this vegan meal over here. You would like this steak over here. We're going to put a potato on the steak next to the steak, and we're going to let you at it. So I'm interested to see what happens. I think
so. Let's talk about the Kickstarter before we get into other esoteria.
Yes.
I wanted to ask about the miniatures piece. So,
definitely.
Tell me about the miniatures. Jeff's like, holy crap!
Yes.
It came back around.
Well, not so much that, but I will say that so what we did is, or at North Texas Con, one of the benefits of having vended at North Texas Con was I got to hang out because by nature is by the other vendors in the area. And the one now, let me make sure I read it correctly. But one of them was at the 5th. I'm going to mess it up.
Our miniatures friend.
Our miniatures friend. He bought all many of the old lines, and he does Peter minis.
Yes. So his name. I know who you're talking about. He actually bought. We sold him. We had the line of DCC minis. We sold him the molds a few years back. And I can't. Oh gosh, Jeff, I can't remember his name. I know you're talking about though. Yes, he is a true mini lover, and he's buying as many lines as he can. He finds them here, there, and everywhere. Some people have the molds here, there, and everywhere. And he bought the DCC molds for us. He buys a lot of old molds, but he is a great dude because he loves minis. He is a huge mini lover.
Yeah, and I noticed we don't have his info on the website nor the.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I can't remember his name either. We've done this.
Anyway, he's a great guy. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to do because everybody was at his so everybody would go and gawk at his minis, and he would like go into great detail, not in a boring way, but like he's a very fascinating dude in explaining the process and what he does, and how they're made, and I think the family's all involved. So I think his daughter sculpts, the whole family. They'll do the molds, but anyway, I figured that was a very that'd be a very appropriate thing. I would. So one of the things too with Kickstarters is you want to get the average pledge up. So minis is a good opportunity, and also the prices on his minis are very good. So one thing that I was shocked about there was that the price for the metal minis really wasn't that much different than buying the resin.
Well, and come on, right? I can't tell you. I've painted all of my miniatures. I need to buy more.
Yeah, that's how that works. I bought 3D printers. I made the terrible mistake of buying 3D printers, right? Yeah. Thinking to myself, like, hey, I can stop buying minis and I'll just start printing them, and then I can control how much I print. But no, actually, it just exacerbates the problem to where I no longer have a shelf of shame that I have a room. There's just a room now over there.
You're doing it wrong. You're supposed to say hi, and everybody says hi, and then you say, hey, Jim, hi, Jim. Yes. So now, interestingly, Blue gets it right, because I was talking to him. He has all the fixings for most of the miniatures you would need to do S3 barrier peaks. The one he does not have are the security bots. He's got the Vegapygmies. I think he's got an Intellect Devourer. He doesn't have a Mind Flayer in the crew costume or in the crew uniform. But between the bots and the security bots, but I was after him to do the security bots, because if you look at Earl Otis's design in the original illustration booklet, the robots they would be easy to replicate. You do the torsos in two halves, you do a top, and then you do the tentacles and the arms. I would love to see him make those. And I had his card to send him the pictures, and it disappeared after North Texas. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, so it's rpgelements.com. Let's see. RPG Elements.
As we all type. Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's rpgelements.com, and it's the Fifth Field Fantasy Miniatures what, and you'll see a tremendous number of minis that he has. Not all of them are pewter. Some of them are resin, but a lot of them are pewter.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mike, didn't he take over Pace Setter's line? I think he took over Pace Setter.
Yeah, he's been buying up lines, and he has Pace Setter, like I said, DCC. He's got a few other lines. We actually have quite a few of the Guthrie molds. Gary and I do, and he's been trying to buy them from us, and we've been delaying because we would like to do something with them ourselves, but if push comes to shove, eventually we'll probably sell them to him too, because I'd love to see the Guthrie minis republished. I think they're just so classic. They're just, I mean, technically they're maybe not as good as some of the newer minis the last 20 years, but they're just so classic. I mean, we all use those. We use those guys growing up. You know, we all had a character that was a Guthrie mini. So he's got quite a collection of different lines. So.
And the other one is also the not custom, but the handmade dice. They're Mad Dragon Woodcraft. They were also at North Texas. And Rose, she would cast and polish, and these are all hand painted too. So she paints the red number. So this was all made for. These are Shadow Dark dice that she made for this Kickstarter. But if you're really looking for some very sharp dice, those are it. But anyway, one of the advantages of like going to a convention and hanging out is meeting a lot of really cool people, because both those people I got to know, for a while. I mean, for days, as you're talking with it, to kind of get a relationship and realize that we're all kind of aligned in what we want.
Networking is the thing, and it really works. When it works, it's great. And actually, North Texas, I mean, not to brag too much, but it's a big networking convention. We get a lot of creators that go there, and a lot of them talk to each other and they end up doing projects together. We're very proud of that. I think that's really awesome.
It's
So-
kind of the right
so Will-
size.
Sorry, Will, did you need to go ahead and step out?
I do actually. I'm so sorry. Wife's putting the kids to bed, and I'd like to say goodnight to them and all that. I thank you so much for having me on, though, and letting me
Oh,
talk with you. guys.
Sure,
It's
it's
a lot
great
of
to
fun.
meet you, man. Awesome.
So, absolutely good meeting all of you too. Jeff, see you later, man.
Okay. So Jeff, before when the show's over tonight, stick around. I have something I want to mention to you about all this that ties in, but we'll talk about it after the show.
Okay.
So the Kickstarter runs out. You've got 15 days to go. You're well over what you would want as far as, I mean, you're at
27. They said 27,000. That's great.
$27,000 on $1,000 goal. I think your goal was remarkably low considering your success. That's well done. What's next after this? That's the question I wanted to ask you before we sort of wrap up talking about everything.
So you're talking what's for
For
Shadow
you,
Dark?
what's the next project after?
So I want to do so I'm probably going to take a slight diversion, and the idea is to do a body horror, bug themed island hex crawl.
Lovely.
It's kind of set in an underground cavern that's dimly lit, and maybe having details aren't fully out, but there will be insect people, and it'll be a place of it'll be in some ways kind of like it can be a Dark Sun where metal's limited, right? It's just going to rust, and so then the hope is to then, part of the theme will be, killing and harvesting, giant insects for the carapaces and things like that.
Now, what Gary's appendix are you up to now?
9, or no, I'm starting 9.
Okay.
9's coming out. 9's coming out, and right after this Kickstarter's over, then 9 will be coming down the pike.
Very highly recommended. I need to get if you haven't bought any yet, just go ahead and splurge on the omnibus, and which has the first 5 issues, Jeff?
6.
First 6
and
issues.
it's full color too. So
Yeah.
the earlier editions of this is not in color, but the omnibus is.
Very cool.
Yep, definitely splurge on those. And what's great about the Kickstarter is you back the Kickstarter, and then a page obviously pops up that says, "Hey, here's a lot of other projects you probably haven't gotten yet." And
all this really cool stuff.
Oh yeah, I take advantage of that every time, and I'm like, I don't have this. Oh, I know what a question I wanted to ask you. Just so you've done all kinds of genres. You've done post-apocalyptic, you've done sci-fi, you've done fantasy. Is there any one you particularly like to work in, or do you just enjoy working in all of them? Or
I like working in all of them, but I would like to do a 50s sci-fi setting. So I want to do a pulpy Buck Rogers style intergalactic game.
interesting.
Tentacles,
Flash
double
Gordon
helmets.
soundtrack. I'm on board.
So, go ahead.
No, I just, when you look at all the really great old serials, when you look at Flash Gordon, when you look at Rocketmen and Zombies in the Stratosphere and so on, right? Like that calls to me. That really does call to me. So I'm in.
Yeah, so that I think, I'm not sure when that will come out. It just depends on how much free time I have in 2026. But I would like to maybe have something like that solidly in 2027.
Ooh.
And I think it's been enough time. I think a lot of the scars from Buck Rogers' TSR days have settled down. I think we can move past it finally.
Yeah, I would like to capture. So I think Star Frontiers, if you look at the art, is the greatest, probably one of the greatest sci-fi games ever. It's just that the rules I don't think ever really didn't really jive.
It's hard to run on the fly. It's very hard to run on the fly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sky Realms of Jorun is another one, right? Where the artwork you're just
So
Sorry.
that would be one that I would love to have. And in fact, I could get some top-notch people to work on it, but I think the IP is just a mess and the way it's tied up.
It is a flaming hot mess.
Yeah.
It's never going to be resurrected.
Yeah.
If it is, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, because I know some people that would be some extremely top-notch people, and that would be one of the ones I'd absolutely love to do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Have you ever
we'll
thought
get
about
on to
doing
that.
just a project, just a hex crawl project? I mean, just like 150 pages of hex crawl or something like that. Anything that like piques your fancy, or is that just something that you would?
No, I think because honestly, I think other people do that better.
Okay.
Yeah, John Stater does some. I don't know if John Stater's still doing that or not, but he had some really good hex crawl stuff for quite a few years.
Yeah,
and now there's a lot of people that do that. You're right.
They're very good. I mean, and I think I just want to, in my interest, kind of vary, and I just kind of all of a sudden something will capture my fancy, and I'll just chase after that. But I think I don't want to really replicate a lot of what other people are doing. That's just so much. It just, like say, it's their vision, and it's unless I had some sort of like something that was really like a grand vision. Yeah, I don't probably won't pursue anything like that.
It's all right. You can't do everything. You should do the things you love, right? That's what matters more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, and it seems to resonate because I mean, obviously, early on, it's all speculation, right? You just do something you think will work, but you don't know. And I've done some projects that just don't make any sense, but people bought it. I'm very thankful, but like. I've written for OSE for a post-apocalyptic setting that doesn't exist, and there's no rules setting. There's no rules for it. Old School Essentials never put anything out, but I kind of threw some stuff together, and it still resonates with people. So it just kind of goes to show, huh?
I was like, go ahead. I'll go ahead.
Well, it just goes to show sometimes if you just put things out and it's something you believe in, that there are a lot of times other people who also, want that same thing.
Is there anything that Zach, if he came and pitched an idea, could you ever see yourself saying no? Like, yeah, we're just not going to do that.
So no, because I think Zach is he's got a keen business sense. And he's got a keen ear to the market. I probably not. No, I would. And the thing is, if it's something he really wants, it's kind of weird because some stuff he like Raptor Ruckus. I'm not sure you've seen Raptor Ruckus, the RPG. He did Jurassic Park.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, he just said he took the Morkborg engine, said we're doing Jurassic Park. And so it funded, I think, close to $100,000. So
wow,
yeah. So
what if you want to do? He goes, I have this great idea to remake Alma Mater, which, for those who don't know, was the high school role play game that came out in the '80s. There was a lot of controversy because it involved drugs and sex and et cetera, et cetera. So Zach says, I have this idea for Alma Mater, high school role playing. It's going to work.
Actually, I will say you're not terribly far off. So what I pitched this to Zach that I think about doing a Mork Borg zine, maybe call it Borg. And the idea is there's a lot of people, so the system is simple. But I thought would be cool is to have a zine, have different things, but have different like one-shot adventures, and you could do Cocaine Bear. You could do anything like that. It's a one shot, right? The simple rules are simple, but so yeah, why not? You could do something like that. That would just be a zine that maybe is 12 pages long, and that comes as an add-on.
I love it.
There's something, and probably people don't remember this. In Dungeon Magazine, they had the right about, I guess, issue 85 to about 105. That's when they had D20. The polyhedron was kind of stuck in the back of the dungeon issue. They would have a D20. We're going to do like a D20 mini game, I guess. And like one of them was Dark Sum. One of them was Spelljammer. But one of them was basically Scooby-Doo. and they did a D20. Here's how you would do Scooby-Doo D20. And they had a mystery game where, a mystery, lighthearted type mystery game. And they would have stuff like that, which I thought was kind of cool, because every issue they'd sometimes, whatever the writer wanted to do, they would do we're going to do a D20 smash up of that. And I always thought that was kind of neat that they would there were so many genres they could fit into the D20. And I'm sure with the Mort Board, there's a lot more genres available for that even. So
because it's so simple, right? And also, if you're going to a con or just doing one shot, you're more apt to do the crazy, weird stuff.
Yeah.
So, because if somebody throws a pitch, Cocaine Bear meets Scooby Doo or whatever, you'd be like, yeah, I'm in.
You got me right. That elevator pitch.
You won't have to twist my arm to get me on board.
We just got on the elevator, and I'm already green lighting that and saying, "Okay, let's do it." We're in.
Yeah, and so my idea would be is to have different writers and just have just odd articles, and then just maybe have some simple one-shot style things in different genres. That could just be weird.
Call of Cthulhu used to do a really good job with that. They had a really kind of, I guess, their heyday of tournament modules where you could go to a convention. They had one tournament happening in 1950s Soviet Union, and another one's happening in the moon in 2079, and then another one's happening in ancient Greece. And Call of Cthulhu lent itself to really any time period. And I always thought that was kind of cool because you could play in all these different time periods using the same rule set, but you could do anything you want to do because it's a one shot. There's one really good Call of Cthulhu adventure set in a Russian factory. And I want to believe it's the 40s or 50s, and it's really creepy. And I saw that run at cons a few times, and it was really good. And you could do that. You could do that with that system. So if Mort Borg allows it, I think that's great that you could just pretty much just
Mort
plug
Borg
it in.
made themselves more open than they really realized. So there are some things that that company wanted to do, but other people beat them to it.
Yeah,
within their system. Pirate Borg for one.
Pirate Borg. I was going to say that. Yeah.
They were ready to release a pirate. Thinking about releasing a pirate theme, and all of a sudden, the Pirate Borg Limithron.
Did you know that Pirate Borg outsells Mort Borg now?
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, it's a better seller. It gets more percentage of the Borg sales than Mort Borg.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, the Mort Borg is and I don't own it, but it is a beautiful. Well, I say beautiful. It is a very interesting book laid out, and people really do enjoy it. But I don't think it lends itself well to campaign play.
No, not. I agree.
But playing pirates with sure, especially when you start adding all the weird aspects of the Jack Sparrow-esque kind of weirdness of Pirates of the Caribbean, then people are already primed for that. So that's easy.
There was a truism in role playing that if you wanted to create the one game that everybody wanted to do but that always failed was a pirate RPG. There was never a pirate RPG that would succeed. I think Pirate Borg finally broke the curse.
Well, Seven Seas, I think was one.
Seventh Sea, and the problem was that it just got buried under the weight of its own world building.
That's a good.
The
definition.
Kickstarter, they went too nuts. They did really well on the Kickstarter and assumed that things were going to progress the same rate.
And the problem with pirate RPGs is trying to get together a group of people to hang around a table for the better part of half a year, all going R, is much easier in your head than it is in practicality. And it's not that, don't get me wrong, every once in a while I get piratical curious and I watch a bunch of these old movies and I'm all on board. And then after a week or two, it just runs, I run out of steam. I go through.
It seems like it would really work well as a pirate game. It seems like would be the perfect hex crawl, right? Here's a giant ocean. There's islands, this and that. Here's your ship. Create your ship, create your crew, and go. So
I think it lends itself. I think it lends itself a lot. I think pirate gaming lends itself much more to one-offs than a particularly protracted, extended campaign, unless you've got a great person running the game. Because what you're saying about having a hex crawl with a ship is great. I get that. I really, really do. But really what we all want, we either want some version of Treasure Island, right? And I always say, don't go watch the Disney Treasure Island. Even the 30s with Charles Haughton is okay. But But watch Treasure Planet, the animated movie that bombed. And
I heard that was a good
got
movie.
a sense of what you really want from that kind of thing, like go find buried treasure. The other is the Spanish Main and raiding one of the big merchant ships, and you could build a game around trying to chase it down, and then a boarding action and so on and so forth. But then you get mired in the reality of, okay, what are we going to do with the ship? What are we going to do with the crew? It's all the stuff that nobody likes to role play that then drags it under like some sort of kraken, and that's the real problem with it, I think.
Well, I ran a pirate campaign for, I don't know, a few years, did D&D, and their solution was to burn every ship they found. So they didn't have to worry. Fireballs don't work great on ships, but they found it was great if you wanted to sink a ship. So they would just burn up all the other ships, and that was their solution to go raid the ship, steal all the gold, and just burn it down. We're like, I guess that works, whatever.
Yeah, no responsibilities at that point.
Yes. But you watch the Paul Henreid movie, The Spanish Main, where he's a pirate, or not Spanish Main, I can't remember the name of it. But there's a whole swath of these great pirate movies, and you watch them and you're like, oh man, that'd be fun. And then the 7C Kickstarter shows up and you're like, man, I got 38 books.
Yeah, that's the problem, the bloat. Yeah.
What am I going to do with this much?
Yeah.
Pirate. It's like, I mean, when the 7C stack gets taller than your White Wolf stack, you're in a problem.
Yeah, right. I think that was early on in Kickstarters, at least with RPGs, the first one that probably experienced that level of success. And I think they just kept adding, if I recall correctly, they just kept adding more and more reward tiers, and they should just stop.
That they made millions of dollars, and Wick has got a record saying he made this much money because by the time they did shipping and fulfillment, well, he sold it. Remember, he sold the rights to was it Chaos or Paizo? I can't remember, because he couldn't.
But he also hired staff. He had an office.
Yep.
I mean, he thought he was a game company.
Eggs were made.
Yeah, Eric and I talk about that a lot. That's a common mistake these guys make. You're just supposed to put your Kickstarter out. We were not financing your business dreams. We just want to get our Kickstarter. We don't need you to finance an empire of gaming. So.
Quantum RPG is the first one I saw that tried that. Joshua Frost, and he was doing the serial Kickstarter. I can't put out the first one unless you pay me for a second one, so I can afford to print the first one. Because the first one paid for my secretary. That was.
Well, remember the Wandering Wizard lost all his money when he decided that, hey, I have 3 Kickstarters, which, by the way, he hadn't written anything for yet. Nope. They just all funded. I have these 3 Kickstarters that funded. I'm obviously a huge success. I'm going to buy myself an office and make a business here, which, by the way, before he finished writing any Kickstarters, once again, he had not finished any Kickstarter and decided it would be a great idea to start his own business and to buy an office and a secretary and God knows what else. And then
DwarfCon. If you're getting DwarfCon, the film.
Oh, yeah. And I want a convention too, which, by the way, once again, he'd not written a word of his Kickstarter. And he decided to start a convention, DwarfCon. And yeah, no.
I smell the overwhelming scent of failure.
Yes. Failure, I tell you. Failure.
Well, we don't have to worry about Jeff's not going to do that. Jeff will not take your money and start a business because he already has a business and it's kicking ass because he's putting out great products.
Yep.
Dark Devilry, or as I like to call it, Dark Deviltry. I'm going to keep calling it.
I misspelled it in the. I just realized it now.
You did too. That's okay. Maybe I'll change the title of it.
It's funding, and it will be out next year, and it's going to be great, like the rest of his stuff. If you like bad guys and who doesn't like Satanish bad guys and terrible dark rituals and all different creepy spells and all that stuff. We all love that stuff. So.
Oh yeah, the guys went all out on this. So. I think everybody will be entertained.
So 15 days left. You're gonna come to a head just in the middle of November. Pie in the sky. What's a very, very, very vague, rough window of shipping? What do you think is?
I think
first half of the next year.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, I would. I mean, not. To, so I would expect. So just to be transparent, there's an editor who's having eye problems, so I'm working with him. So um, it depends on how much output he's able to do, and if
Okay.
he's not able, I'll have to switch editors, which isn't a problem. But I do expect to have. I do expect to have everything edited. I expect to have everything edited and ready to go by January 1st to go be ready for a printer.
Oh wow.
So
That's
once I get close to then, I will. I mean, it could move a little bit, but I do pretty much expect, if not by the end of December, somewhere mid January. So
So that's when it would go off to print. That's great. That's
well,
fabulous.
that's when we go to the printer. That's when I'd call the printer, and I get the quote, and then I would and then we'd schedule a production date.
Sure.
And so they're a very large printer, so and they so it just depends on them, because me ordering 1,000 copies is nothing, the is to what they produce. So I mean, it's like I'm going to be worked into whatever opening they have.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, it's always about them finding time, and this is what small publishers have always faced. Can you wedge me in here? Can you?
Yeah, I would say June would be the latest, but I could see April is very possible.
Right.
It's just there's just some variables, but I think all the variables are doable. So so it's yeah, I don't, and I think the other thing too is being having a printer in the U.S. it does it does cost more. So it's like the printing costs are twice than if I were to go overseas. But I can have quicker turnaround and have a lot more control over what's going on in the situation. Right. So I feel very comfortable.
I know somebody that ran afoul of printing something overseas, and then after having run afoul of printing something overseas, still went ahead with printing overseas and ran into even bigger problems, and that's not even with tariffs and that landscape. It was just other things.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead.
No, that's good. Go ahead.
So what I found is, like, my big concern is, you print once you hit okay, once you sign that document, you're on the hook for those books.
Yep.
And I do know that the company I work with, the people are very much in tune to what's going on and errors and working through. And I feel a lot more comfortable. They don't necessarily aren't babysitting me, but they have an eye for things that are not quite right and getting back to me, where I'm not really sure that I would get that level from somebody overseas. So especially being new, if you start making some errors, you could come back with, 1,000 books that are problematic. That's your fault, but still, it doesn't make you feel any. I mean, it still is a bad situation. So,
right.
So it's helpful to actually have if you're doing something that's going to be a significant amount of money, sometimes it's worth spending more to get somebody that will be working with you closely.
Right. Like,
call them on the phone. Hey, Charlotte, I got a problem. Or I'm not understanding what she's saying. I can call Charlotte. I got her number. I call directly to Charlotte. It's not a bot calling.
Right.
Calling
right.
it.
You don't have to press this for English. You don't have to.
Yeah, I visited their facility. I visited their the printing facility and walked through the whole process of manufacturing books. So and got to know the people. So it was I feel very comfortable with working with these people.
So I knew a president of one of the larger game companies who every time they would send off one of their deluxe hardcovers, right? Because the printer would come to them and say, hey, we can do this, we can do leather now, we could do blah, 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 blah. When they would do their annual really nice leather book, they would send this off as the project or whatever, but the proof copies, the copies that they would run before the actual production run would start, they always did in something interesting. And so one of the books is in zebra skin and another one is in leopard skin, right? Because they're one-offs, right? They're really sending it just to show you what's inside the covers, but they would do this to sort of declinate it from from being part of the actual production run, but ends up with a shelf full of these bizarre looking books that are all embossed and have all the correct embossing and so on and so forth. But actually what they serve a purpose. But it's,
neat.
yeah, it's one of these weird things of the time from 30 years ago or whatnot. So I don't know. Mike,
Yeah, it's
what do
time,
you
Mike.
got music wise this week?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. So I decided Jim made fun of me last week because I had the same albums on for week after week. So I mixed it up a little bit. I've still got Pete Townsend, Empty Glass. Good album.
Yeah.
I'll probably bring that out, toss that one next week. But it's got some great hits on it, early 80s. I've got a new one here, and you're gonna laugh probably because it shows I'm
We're
old.
not gonna laugh at you.
America's Greatest Hits. And we've got
That's a great one.
Name, Lonely People, Sister Golden Hair, Ventura. It's got some great stuff from the 70s, the era of the hippie. And last week I got this band because I heard one song, and it's called the Eyeliners. They're a sister hard rock band, and they do pulp or pop rock. And this is their third and last album. I'm going to look for their first two because I really like this, and I think I would like their first two. But they're called the Eyeliners, and I'd never heard of them. I heard them played on satellite radio, and I got the album, and I really enjoyed it. So two new ones. These are two I've had for a long time. I haven't listened to in a long time. I don't know much about the bands. This is a band called Cloud 11. They play psychedelic 60s sounding pop rock. They're a 90s band. Don't know anything about them, but it's a really good album. It turned out they had about 5 or 6 albums. I don't know why I have this one, but it's very pleasant pop rock, 60-ish psychedelic type music. And this is a very unusual album. It's a band called His Name Is Alive, and the album title is Stars on ESP, which I have no clue what it means. This guy is a very creative, weird dude. His name is Alive. So one guy, he does all the instruments. He hires people to do the ones he doesn't play. This album took him 3 years to write. It is based on a Jim Reeves gospel song that came out in the early 60s. He does 3 different versions of that song on here. One is a hard rock version. One is a African spiritual, and the other is a pop version. In between, he does all kinds of music. He does Beach Boys. He does electronic. It is the most all over the place album I've ever listened to in my life. The first time I heard this was a summer like 98. I think I bought it, and based on a friend telling me this is a really cool band. And I've come back to it every 5 or 6 years. There's nothing like it out there in music land. It's really interesting. It's really weird. It's not like anything you've ever listened to. And I probably will go with this for a few weeks before I finally get tired of it. But His Name Is Alive is the name of the band. He did about 4 or 5 albums. They're all interesting, very experimental type stuff. But I've never heard anybody that their theme was a Jim Reeves gospel song. And they said, I'm going to do 3 different or 4 different versions of it. And I'm going to do like a heavy metal version of that. And I'm going to do this. It's weird. It's crazy weird, but it's a great album. So those are my 5 albums. Jim, do you have any movies for us this week?
Okay, so it's Halloween week, so I'm gonna go with 2. Number 1 is my all-time favorite horror movie, The Wicker Man.
Ah, yes.
And you can't go wrong with The Wicker Man because it's old society clashing with new society.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna spoil any of it.
It's not the Nick Cage version, right?
I was about to say, is it the Nick Cage? But no.
No. And then the other, last week was the anniversary of my dad passing away, and I decided to pick one of his all-time favorite horror movies, which is Evil Dead 2. And
that's
if
the
you've
best
never
one.
seen it, it's a lot of fun. It's well
The
worth the
best
watch.
one, yes. That's
not Army of Darkness. It's not Army of Darkness.
It's got a great history because it was basically he had more money, and so he did a remake of 1 basically with more money and special effects because he had the money, and it actually puts a lot of humor in there, and it's got the Bruce Campbell great scene with the chainsaw hand where he says groovy, and it's
the mirror, him talking to himself in the mirror. That's another.
Yeah, that Evil Dead 2 is probably my favorite in the entire series. It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sad. I think I have like 3 or 4 different versions of Wicker Man, but I don't care. It's such a great movie.
No, it's okay. It's
And I actually have a miniature model of the Wicker Man that I had dragged out that I was going to work on at Gamehole and I didn't get a chance to, but it's coming up because I need to get my little Wicker Man on my shelf.
Well,
Can I recommend some music?
Heck yeah.
Jump in.
So as a friend, he goes by on YouTube. It's called Loot the Body.
Yes,
That
I've
sounds
heard
Does
of
very
it.
familiar,
D&D
yeah.
themed. He has the Barrier Peak songbook, and he goes through the different aspects of the Barrier Peaks, and one of them is the Robot Police, which is fantastic.
Oh man, okay, I've never heard this. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, it's
I'm
all
gonna
D&D
have to-
themed music, and he does his own videos, animation. So Loot the Body.
All right, you got me. I'm in. I'm gonna have to go look this up.
Yes, I've actually stumbled across that like a year ago, and then I've never found it again because it didn't. Every
Yeah.
once in a while, YouTube throws some random thing into your feed that they think you
Yeah.
might like, and then I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I forgot to like subscribe or do any of that crap. So,
I can't even imagine what your random YouTube feed must be like.
oh my god, it is pretty random. So folks, just really quick, live streams Thursday. There will be a Friday. Normally there isn't, but Glenn is insisting on doing a live stream for Halloween, so we will have an 8 p.m. live stream. Of course, Gamers Health on Saturday, and trying to put up an actual long form video on a daily basis, which means my Sundays are blocked out for video recording. We'll see how long I can keep that going. Other than that, thank you to Jeff.
Yes.
Having the two of you on was great, and the background info on us. You are the. I guess you would be a project manager in the real world.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't sound so resigned, Jeff.
Wow. I was like, yeah, I guess I would.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
That's not
Yeah.
the class that I was hoping to be,
Yeah.
but okay.
Well, the sad part is I've been so busy doing so many that a lot of the fun stuff I've not been able to do. So I'm
You'll
hoping
get
to free up some more time. So,
But-
but a lot of the cool stuff other people are doing, and I'm stuck sending out invoices and sending out POs and
Yeah.
paying people and sending out contracts and doing layout.
Yeah. That's the project manager.
Boy, there's your next RPG game.
Oh yeah.
Project Manager. I'd do it as a zine. Just a thought.
There you go.
Well, again,
Oh, by the way,
thank you.
congratulations, Eric. I saw we got over 7,000 subscribers finally.
We're knocking on 7,100.
Wow.
Nice.
It's been at this rate, I think we're gonna hit 8,000 before the end of the year.
Wow.
10,000 by North Texas is a vague possibility.
What did we do right the last few weeks to pop those numbers?
More content and collaborations with Joe
Ah.
and Joe the lawyer.
That's why you're
and-
doing a show every night now, practically. Yes.
I'm just trying to get. I'm trying. You know what? I'm focusing on the OSR content,
Mhm.
and apparently people. I like BX. I didn't realize how much people actually like BX until I started doing BX content. So, thank you to everybody who's been subscribing. Your support's been great, and this show will be back next Wednesday. Do we have a guest for next Wednesday, Mike?
Yes, we do. His name is Tom Tullis.
All
And
right.
he is talking about his Kickstarter, his miniature Kickstarter, his 3D miniature Kickstarter. So it will be lively. Tom is an interesting human being. It'll be quite.
You use that word "human being" as if it needs a special definition.
That's just debatable. That's sort of debatable.
All right. Yeah,
Human being.
human being in quotation marks. Folks, God bless. Thank you all for the support, and we will be back.